What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And of course, it is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is over. Super Bowl is done. So now it's draft season. And today we're giving you our top 10 running backs in the upcoming NFL draft. We're going to do a bit of a snake draft, picking who we think the top 10 are, and we'll decide on the last one together. But before we get into that, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday afternoon?
I'm a little under the weather, but I'm all right. I'm fighting through it. Theo, you've got a little bit of an echo on your end, and if you could turn your gain down maybe, because we can hear you tap on your laptop. But yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to get into draft season. Running back is my favorite position when it comes to scouting. So
why is that
for this episode? I just think they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
There's something about them that's very almost inhuman, I think, to watch them. Like to make yourself kind of this torpedo that moves the ball through the defense. It's very weird to watch. It doesn't quite feel like you're watching a human person carrying the ball. Maybe that sounds weird, but that's how running back strikes me, of just like, what are these reverse hurdles? Like, what are these cuts? Like, how are you seeing these things happen behind, the line of scrimmage? Like, if you're a lineman, I understand what they're looking at. I understand that, he's trying to get his hands here, and then he's torquing the guy out of the way, and then he's climbing to the second level, or he's got a pull, and here we go. He's got to make points before the line of scrimmage. Like, yeah, that makes some sense. But for the running back to kind of understand that and have to move through that in the way that they do, it's very strange. It's very strange to watch, and they're just so explosive. They're so built. They're so just different. Like they're
and they
just
get
different.
The yards, which is
they
awesome.
get the yards.
They get the touchdowns. They get to do it all, man. They get to block. They get to catch. They get to run. How many positions can do all of those things, or get to do all of those things? So yeah, and I think it's definitely up there. I'm partial to the receivers because I played receiver, and I don't know, I like those guys too. But there's also a lot of plays where receivers do nothing, and so
yeah, I think every running back play really matters. Rarely are they doing just totally nothing.
Right. So that does make them interesting to watch. I know, Theo, you really like defensive linemen and offensive linemen and those kind of things.
Defensive tackles specifically is my favorite.
Well, that's the same. Like, they're never doing nothing on a play, right? Mm-hmm. You always have to impact in some capacity. So yeah, that seems to check out there.
How was your Valentine's Day? How was your Valentine's?
Oh yeah, we did. Happy Valentine's Day. Stay hot to the hotties. My Valentine's Day was pretty good. Sophia and I just chilled around, got her some flowers and made dinner. We were homebodies. I think we took 3 naps. But we don't ever really get that kind of a day off, so it was nice for us.
Me and Cammy, we were after work. We went up to Estes Park and we went to the Stanley Hotel, which is featured in The Shining. It's the setting of The Shining.
Ah. Oh, that's sick.
Yes.
That is sick. And
it's up near Rocky Mountain National Park, up in the mountains. And once you got off work, we drove there and we saw a concert at the hotel. And the concert was...
Who was playing?
Pinback. I can't say that too loud because she wants to gatekeep Pinback. So nobody blab, all right? Nobody can blab about Pinback. If it gets big on social media, because I should even stop talking. I should just be casual. We can't have Pinback blow up like one of our other favorite songs is Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. And I think that being
really tough break on that one.
Really tough break on that one, right? So I think that she's very scared that that's going to happen again. And Pinback's really good. I could definitely see a Pinback song featured in an emotionally heavy moment in a big movie or TV show, because they really are.
Or a TikTok.
I don't even know what genre you would consider them. Like, she was talking about prog rock or math rock. I don't even know.
YouTube just said rock band. So
interesting.
They're kind of low key. They just got kind of simple riffs and a good rhythm section, and they incorporate some electronic elements. I think there's frequently kind of radio garble in their songs. They're very, very good. But
I'll listen to them after this episode. What album should
I like their self-titled. But I'm literally spilling. She's actually going to shoot me in the face, dude. If this ever gets back to her, that I'm telling you this.
Dude, look. No, I don't think it's gonna blow up on TikTok because Stay Hot talked about it. But
Yeah, we don't got that type of pull.
like we've got some motion. We don't got motion like that.
Dude.
Because if that were the case, my album would have blown up, right?
Pinback's pretty good, dude. Pinback.
Okay.
No disrespect to to Blaiden Kirk's self-titled, but Pinback.
I'll definitely give it a listen.
Don't do that. Actually, forget I said
listen.
anything.
All right, man.
Don't listen
give it
to
a listen. I'm gonna give it a listen, and if I like it, I'm gonna make this big.
If you like it,
video.
just keep it to your fucking self. I'm literally, for the sake of my relationship, I'm begging you to. If you like the album,
and you know what? The same thing happened to Geese. That's happening to Geese right now. Is they're kind of blowing up. So
Geese, they're on my top.
And now you gotta
songs of
stop listening to
2023. 2023.
That's too bad, bro.
It's not that I have to stop listening to them. It's just that if you were to play it for somebody else, the reaction then is different.
yeah,
I feel like you can listen to it. I still listen to it, but I can't talk about it anymore. I don't think
sure.
because
You could talk about Geese.
no, I don't want to talk about Geese. I really don't want to talk about Geese at all anymore. There's enough people. Their latest album I don't like as much as 3D Country. I'll tell you that.
That's because you're an OG Real Ass fan.
I'm an OG Real Ass fan. They got some songs on the album even before that called I don't know what album it was, but Fantasies Twin Survival. That was on my top song a couple years ago. So that's why I'm an OG Geese fan.
Nobody probably even heard of that one, bro. So
no one even knows about that one, bro. But that one might be their best. That they crack me up because I was my dad and I were talking about Geese in 2020, a couple years ago, 2023 or whatever it was. And I was like, yeah, I've been listening to this song. And he's like, oh, I love Geese. I'm like, how do you know Geese? This just doesn't seem like your type of scene to be listening to them all the time. And I'm like, you really know them? And he's like, yeah. He pulls it up. He's talking about the band Goose. I'm like, oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
I mean, but that's an easy mistake to make. I feel
it's very easy. It's a very easy mistake. And Goose is good too. More of a bluegrassy jam band, which is way more I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense for you, bro.
That tracks for Pops.
That tracks for Pops is bluegrassy jam band. But that moment when I thought that he was on Geese and all those years ago was
he laughed
electric,
bro. You got scared.
He mogged me.
Matt, who are you?
I got brutally father mogged by
father
a real Gen X music stand.
Matt, are you an OG fan of any bands that?
Nope. I honestly don't know. I've been a big fan of K Tronada for a long time. I feel like that would be the one that I get to, but I also think K Tronada has been very popular for a long time. I honestly just kind of enjoy what I enjoy, and I don't worry about where it sits in the zeitgeist. I'm kind of above that level of trying to be ahead of the curve on music. So, no, I'm not at all. I'm just not that well versed musically.
Well, you like Daft Punk. Me and Cammy were also talking about your Daft Punk takes.
Yeah, I'm high on Daft Punk.
We were debating.
No one has heard of.
No one has heard of Daft Punk, but we were debating their best song, and you say it's Face to Face, which is a take. I don't agree, but I like the take.
I mean, it's that or Instant Crush, I think. Well, there's a lot of good Daft Punk songs. One week you think one thing, another week you think another, but Face to Face, I think, is my number one.
I like Instant Crush the best. I also like Contact a lot. Contact has some of the best moments in the discography. The drop in Contact, I think, is the best 5 seconds. And then it kind of has this
fire.
Around the World. I like
Touch.
Yep. That's a band. They got every song of theirs is pretty good. I think the vocoder version of Lose Yourself to Dance absolutely
That's a
rules.
good one. Get Lucky is also really good. I know how popular it is. It's really good, and it's worthy. Voyager is a great one. They've got a lot of really, really good songs. Daft Punk is like top 3 for me.
They're so elite. We were talking about the Super Bowl halftime and my guess of who it might be next year on Twitter, and my guess was maybe like Tyler, the Creator, just because I'm thinking the visuals.
They killed me. They killed me. The conversation that you had with people on Twitter about. And then other people were like, Kanye,
and then I said Kanye. I was like, people like this walk amongst us, and then people were so mad. Like they're like, well, you can't deny Kanye would put on a fire show. It's like, what world are you living in, bro? Like, what universe are you living in, dude? And then I asked somebody, they're like, they just can't play any recent stuff. He can't play any recent stuff, and I asked any recent stuff specifically that he can't play. And the guy said, anything off Jesus is King. I'm like, anything else? Anything a little bit more recent even than that?
Jesus is King was like 5 years ago, dude. Like, what are we talking about?
Right. That's not his most egregious new music that might eliminate him from the halftime show conversation. And then people are like, well, you suggested Tyler Creator, bro. It's like, Tyler Creator isn't.
Jesus is King was 7 years ago, dude.
Tyler's
Holy
old stuff is
shit.
pretty bad. Like in terms of,
your old stuff being bad isn't as bad as your most recent stuff being called what it's called. Your old stuff being bad isn't as bad as Cousins being released recent.
Right.
I'll say that.
Yeah. Dude. I could see, again, we talked about it could be one of the pop girlies or like a collection of them. Doechie's pretty popular. She could be in that conversation as well.
Someone said Pharrell, which is where I'm getting at, and I think Pharrell would be when someone said that, I was like, oh yeah, because he's been around forever. He's got a ton of hits. He could bring on whoever, and he could bring on Daft Punk because 2 of his biggest songs are Daft Punk. Yep. Although they're not like, I want Pharrell to get out of the way. Like, I like Get Lucky. That's a good song, but there are better Daft Punk songs. So we just need to get Pharrell as a vessel to just bring on Daft Punk, and then Daft Punk plays their set list.
Pharrell being a vessel to bring on like a bunch of other artists would be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I could get behind. I'll put you guys on to one artist that I've been listening to recently that has 10,000 monthly listeners.
Okay.
Her name is Rosalie Cunningham. Her self-titled album in 2019 is an absolute banger. Absolute banger.
Rosalie or Rosalia?
Rosalie Cunningham. Okay. Yes. That'll
like
be
Rosa space Lee space Cunningham.
Rosalie, Rosalie is the first name. Cunningham, last name. Yeah. Her self-titled record, Sick. And then she did another record in 2022 called Two Piece Puzzle. That's pretty good. And then I haven't listened to Shoot Another Day yet, but I need to, because that album looks like it's probably pretty good also. But her self-titled record kicks ass.
What did you guys think of this running back draft class?
See, there's a couple of guys at the top that I really like. But I feel like once you get outside of that, a lot of the guys are kind of the same.
Can I please have the first overall pick in this draft?
Go ahead.
That's my thought on this class.
I think it's not that great. I agree that I am pretty down with like the top 3 guys. I think are pretty good. I think it's about right. And then after that, it really starts to fall off for me. And it's tough to even get to 10 guys that I'm like super, super excited about. The depth here is incredibly weak in my opinion.
Yeah. It's definitely a concern. Theo, you're more than welcome to have the first pick. Matt, you can have the second pick, and I'll round out the third here. Theo, I assume you're taking.
I'll take Jeremiah Love with the first pick. That's who I'd like to take. I really like Jeremiah Love. I think that he's got the potential to be something pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
He's a unique player. It's hard to think of a comp for him, or he doesn't really remind me of anybody else. Did he remind you of anybody?
I don't know. I think that his superpower is just like his first step in his burst is unbelievable. It looks like he's playing at double speed. I don't know if he really comps to Jahmyr Gibbs, but I do think about Jahmyr Gibbs' first step in quickness when I watch him. But I don't know if they're stylistically that similar. I agree that he is kind of unique.
He's very unique because he strikes me as more of a power back even than a speed back, even though he is kind of skinny and he is fast for sure. And he's broken off 98 yarders. He breaks off explosive touchdowns literally all the time. So yeah, the speed is all there, but just the way he approaches the game, I feel like he invites contact and he runs through contact. And that's kind of what I think of with him is the way that he absorbs hits and bounces off of them in the way that there's no like pile that he could be in that I wouldn't kind of be half expecting him to squirm his way out of. He puts his hand on the ground a lot and kind of becomes a tripod with three points of contact with the ground and will like crawl. He has very long legs and he's slender, which is kind of weird for a running back with his style, I feel like. But I think those help him really drag people forward and stay on and stay up, that is. And it's just kind of strange to watch. I don't really think that anybody has a style quite like his. I think about Kamara maybe a little bit, but he's like Kamara in the sense that Kamara also had a style that was kind of completely his own and was a very unique running back that doesn't really remind me of anybody else. In that way, Love reminds me of Kamara, but I don't think he's built like that, and I don't think he necessarily plays the same way. There's a lot more ferocity and speed and intensity to everything that he does, whereas Kamara was the complete opposite. But just some of the things he does to stay balanced, they aren't moves. It's not like, oh, he spun, he juked, he hurdled. Like, he does all those things, but some of the things he does like aren't a move that you can really describe. It's like, man, he kind of contorted himself and got skinny and ran into somebody and bounced off in kind of a weird way and then recovered from the stumble and kept moving. Like,
he's not overly like wiggly, not necessarily in terms of ability, but in terms of style. I completely agree. I think what's interesting about Love is like, I mean, call him a power back if you want, but truly this guy is just like an ultimate home run hitter. But he's very in between the tackles. He's very quick to turn everything upfield and go. And when he hits the hole as hard as he does, and he's just so decisive about putting his foot in the ground and going, I think he finds a really good balance between somebody who, like, yeah, can break off a 90-yard run or whatever, and as good as anybody, but also, like, really maximizes the opportunities that he gets. And when he picks up speed, yeah, he's really difficult to bring down quickly. And I think part of what allows him to, you know, like lead this draft class in yards after contact per attempt is just like how fast he gets going and how much harder that makes him to bring down.
Yeah, he's yards after contact per attempt is the first thing that stuck out to me. I'm like, oh my God. Like he just dwarfs every other back in that category. And he does so for pretty much most of the statistical categories in this draft class. He just always falls forward, man. I mean, that's really what it came down to me is like, you want backs who are obviously able to hit home runs. He can do that. You want backs who are physical. But the most important thing I find is like, I don't want backs who get popped and get thrown backwards. You know, I want backs who they can deliver the blow. They're heavy set. They're strong. They've got a good center of gravity. And he's got all of this. He's just such a well-balanced total package athlete, like more so than just a running back. He's just a great athlete.
He's a great athlete. He's somebody who, you know, hit the 98-yarder against Indiana in the 2024 season, and then also had that goal line carry versus Penn State where he is bouncing power and he's wrapped up around his ankles and he comes down on one foot and kind of hops on one foot while kicking his other leg that's wrapped up and gets free and then gets back up, trucks somebody, falls forward through that contact, reaches the ball over the goal line. Like, that's where the power comes in of just like, he's going to find some way. I wish I could get him to hop on one foot for as long as he could. I bet he could do it for like 24 hours. Like just the stamina and just he just never quits. He never quits on a run that's from at the bottom of piles. You'll see him, army crawling forward, doing everything possible to keep his knees off the ground. Like,
I love these new combine tests you're coming up with right now, Theo. Hop on one foot for 24 hours.
He could do it, dude. Like there's unlimited go. He's super unique. He can catch. Like I think I'd like to see him featured more as a receiver in his scheme. Like I felt like that was something that was kind of underutilized in his game. He's got a lot of confidence. He's always clapping for the ball out on routes, having his hand up, mailboxing. Like even on checkdowns, if he sees zone and it's a checkdown, he's literally waving his hand in the air, like throw it to me, throw it to me.
He plays with an awesome motor. Absolutely.
Yep.
I love the energy he does everything with. He's got serious hands. I mean, we all saw that catch on the wheel route he had against Texas A&M, one-handed, brought that sucker in. And then I think also in pass protection, like he really just brings the pop to linebackers or blitzers when he gets the opportunity to, and a lot of it is just like that willingness and drive to do it. So
and when
Riley Leonard, he's a very well-rounded prospect.
When Riley Leonard was his quarterback, he had to lead block a ton because they called QB power, and he was out there being the fullback for Riley Leonard, and I always thought he did a good job doing that. So he can be a 3-down player. I think so much energy gets exerted in all of his runs that I do sometimes worry about injury. Like he hurdles more than anybody. Like he hurdles all the time. And I've seen him try to hurdle, like the B gap is open in the Texas A&M game, I think it is. And he has to get from kind of the backside A to the front side B. And it's just kind of a long way to go with somebody pursuing him. So what he tries to do to get in that open gap is he tries to hurdle the entire right guard. He literally jumps over the entire right guard. And I'm like, there's so much ferocity and intensity and elevation, like weaponizing of elevation to his game, that some of the things that is maybe lacking is just like the cutting and the patience and, kind of some of what we saw from K9 in the Super Bowl of like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to kind of make these micro movements.
I could see that.
There's a lot of kind of big, there's not a lot of big strides because he's really good in confined areas with his feet and all that. But sometimes I feel like he can rush certain decisions and his patience behind the line of scrimmage isn't always there. I've seen him try to bounce things he shouldn't try to bounce. Again, I don't think his vision is bad. I just think sometimes he can almost lose his mind in certain moments. But I don't think overall his vision is a big negative. I think he has really good moments, but he also has some. I'm like,
college football might just be too slow for him.
What are you trying to do?
We were talking about the safety. Caleb Downs. We were talking about Caleb Downs, and I was like, sometimes it just feels like he's not like flying downhill with enough energy. And it's like, you were telling me about that interview and they're like, oh dude, you're going to be so happy in the NFL. You're going to have so much fun. And I'm like, is he just bored?
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that
it's a rare prospect that an NFL player could look at them and be like, you're going to love it here in the NFL. Like, a lot of them bust, and Caleb Downs is one of those guys where they were telling him that. And I think I preferred Downs to Love a little bit as a prospect, because I do think there is maybe some rawness to Love's game. Sure. And maybe some injury risk with just the physical style that he has and kind of a skinnier body. But overall, I was really impressed. I think whenever you get somebody who's that kind of different from everybody else, they stand out as a great prospect. So
I agree.
Yeah, I really like him. He's an easy first selection.
Yeah, I agree. Do you prefer him or Ginty?
Oh, it's such a good question.
I'm a Ginty man personally.
I'm also a Ginty guy.
But Love's a great player. And in a better situation, he could very easily be like a better fantasy player, have a better career or whatever,
Sure.
It didn't take much to be in a better situation than what Ginty's in right now, so.
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to be. Maybe I prefer Love just because of the home run hitting ability, but I think that there's a lot of stuff that Ginty did better. So
I honestly
Genty's
thought
contact
Genty was-
balance is
yeah.
is even on like another level. I don't even think it's close. But
no, I don't think it's close either. I don't think it's
Genty's
close.
contact
Genty
balance is like one of
stylistically
the
is just
best
totally
ever.
different than Love.
Yeah, completely different. I don't know. They're really close. I think Love is definitely a tier below. Like, I don't expect him to go in. I don't think he's as bursty as Saquon. I think he's got some similarities to Saquon, but he's not as sturdy and bursty. He's not as big as Derrick Henry. He doesn't have the stiff arm and just the kind of that automatic way to break a tackle when he's one-on-one with the safety. So I don't think he's quite at the level of the top running backs of the era. I don't expect him to be quite that level, but you know, the level below that of like, damn, he's a Dalvin Cook, a James Cook, a Christian McCaffrey, like, you know, tier
I don't think James
two.
Cook is a bad comp at all.
He's more of a home run hitter. I feel like James Cook has
James Cook is not the athlete that Love is.
yeah.
No,
But maybe
No,
some of
but
the tight quarters. Again, he doesn't really remind me of anybody. I'm just talking caliber. And McCaffrey is really, maybe McCaffrey is in that tier one. I could see that being true. So maybe those three. He's not quite that level of receiver. He's not quite that level of tackle. But you're getting closer when you get to McCaffrey. But maybe even
Sure.
a little bit below that. Again, like a Kamara type of career or something.
sure.
I don't know.
Matt, who do you have with the second pick?
Jonah Coleman would be my running back too here. Out of Washington. If you were to ask me why it's good to be short or why it can be good to be short as a running back, I would point to Coleman. He is eye-poppingly nimble. His ability to shift into opening lanes is a superpower, not only off the basis that his lateral agility is really impressive, but his vision is also really impressive. There's times watching the tape where I'm like, boom, you got an opening right there, and he sees the leverage better than I even see it watching from the all 22 tape on the first go around. He's super stocky. He's listed at 5'9", 228. I don't know if he's quite 228, but he is like very, very, very well built. And we'll see what he measures. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think he might weigh more.
You think he's at
so
220? Maybe I'm overestimating how much 228 really is on a 5'9".
Maybe.
Right?
So
He's big as hell. It doesn't make a difference. And he averaged over 4 yards after contact per attempt on his career. That low center of gravity is just really tough for defensive players to deal with so many times. Like, they do a good job getting him low, and you're still not really hitting him low enough to affect his legs. And he does a great job, like, bouncing off of it. I also think that he does a great job, like, shifting away from contact very quickly. Like, his ability to, like, have a guy coming at him and not necessarily avoid him entirely, but just change his angle enough to kind of go with the flow or to make them miss enough so where they can't really get 100% of him is really incredible. He also has a great understanding, of course, of setting guys up in space.
Yep.
He had a huge role as a receiver. Only a couple of guys in this running back draft class, I think, were notable in that sense. He averaged 1.73 yards per route run, which is a pretty strong number. And he seems very capable as a pass blocker too. So on the whole, just the combination of how nimble he was and how strong he was really stuck out to me. I don't think he's as much of a lock for the second overall running back on my board as Love is for the first, obviously. I think Price is a really good option there too. That's the other guy that I would seriously consider. But I think Coleman's a really fantastic player.
Yeah, I like Coleman a lot. When I saw he was 228, I'm like, that kind of feels a little light for how big he looks on tape to me. Because I thought he was going to be a little bit taller than 5'9". But I was looking back at like his high school scouting report, and they noted that in one season he put on like 20 pounds. He jumped up to 220 pounds in high school. And I was like, oh my gosh, so he's been this big for a while now, but he wasn't always this big. And then I did have some concern about he's been getting less efficient in his time in college. So like in 2023, he was averaging 6.8 yards per attempt on 127 carries. 5.5 yards per attempt on 192 in 2024, and then 4.8 this season on 157. So that's a little bit concerning, just from like you want to see college backs averaging over 5, closer to 6 yards per carry, to see sort of that success in the NFL. I also do have some concern that I don't think he uses his size as much as he should. I think he should be more willing to run people over. There's a play where he's one-on-one against a closing safety. I don't remember what game this was, but it was a one-on-one against a closing safety, and he tries to like cut laterally to make this guy miss instead of just running him over. And it's like 2 yards away from the first down. It might have been Washington State. It was number 13 was the safety. And I'm like, if he just lowers his shoulder, he probably gets the first down here. But instead he cuts laterally and he ends up slipping and goes down. And it's only it's an 8-yard gain instead of an 11-yard gain. And that's like a small difference. And he does the same thing. He does the same thing in early going against Ohio State. He had one-on-one against a corner, and he gets dropped because he tries to cut laterally. And instead of just like running this guy over, I'm like, you've got easily 20, maybe 30 pounds on this guy. Put your shoulder into his chest and run him over. He's super quick, like quick-footed for his weight. Like that was the thing that really surprised me, is how agile he is. But I would like him to be more physical in his, attempts to really create some separation, breaking tackles. That would be the one thing that I think would want me, that I would want for me to put him a little bit higher on my list. But he's a really good player.
Yeah, he's a bigger guy. He's really good between the tackles, just kind of glancing off contact. But he's also not, Michael Turner or some of the all-time bowling balls that you see sometimes.
Yeah. So I would have Jadarian Price over him. And I'll take him here with my third pick. Dude, Price, his explosiveness, it just pops off the screen. He is so ridiculously fast. And, for someone who has as much speed and explosiveness as he does, the contact bounce and the power is pretty shocking as well. Like, I think he comps pretty closely to like him and Love. I feel like are such a great backfield tandem. And like Price could have gone somewhere, and especially like in the age of NIL, like he definitely could have gone somewhere else and been an RB1. His, I think, choice to stay, and you get to see kind of his impact on special teams as well. Like he really is such a well-rounded player. You've got the selflessness, you've got the commitment and the loyalty to stay. I don't know how much that matters to people, but I think that's a little bit of a cool thing to put on, is for on top of being like such a great athlete, such a physical runner, on top of being really fast. You can't really bring him down with arm tackles. Like he really is, I think, as close to being Jeremiah Love as you could be without just being Jeremiah Love. So I like him a little bit more. 5'11", 210. He's just, man, I love his speed. It pops immediately.
I'm incredibly in on him. I think he's an unbelievably talented runner. I thought that he was a little bigger than 210, but regardless, he seems like
I agree.
a big guy with really wild speed. The fact that he was returning kicks is really exciting to me. I think that's going to be a huge, huge factor at the NFL level with how important kickoff returns are right now. Yeah. I think his ability to react to leverage is really impressive. His long speed is not only good, but I think it's kind of deceptive sometimes. Like I feel like a lot of dudes take really poor angles at him, not expecting him to be able to turn the corner the way that he does. And then on top of that, you'll see moments like obviously as just like, regular running game, but on kickoff returns where dudes just melt off of him. Right. And I think that's a fold that a lot of kick returners can't bring, the power aspect where you really got to wrap him up and bring him down. So often you think of the returner as like a wide receiver or whatever, but this guy is like a true, 4.28 career yards after contact, like really, really strong contact bounce, can run people over guy who also has the top end speed that it takes to return those kicks. And that's why he had a number of huge impact plays on that level. So I think regardless, like that's going to be a big deal for him. I'd be really excited if I was, a fan of a team that got him.
Oh yeah, I mean, special teams, we know it's 1,000% of the game. It's super important right now. And yeah, Matt, I love the melting off of him. I love that phrasing. I think that's a perfect way to describe it. The number of guys who are on special teams that are like seriously great tacklers, right? That are coming down on the kickoff team. Like they're not that many, right? And that's why you do see a lot of receivers out there. You're not super worried about them getting like absolutely like railed and pummeled. If you have a guy like Jadarian Price out there, at the NFL level, I think he's gonna have just as much success as he did in college. I think it's gonna be super easy for him to find a role on any team. So like to me, Love and Price, I could both see being first round picks. I could also see Coleman, like if someone really liked Coleman over Price, I could see that.
I view Coleman and Price as second round guys. I do think Price had a tendency to be a little bit too indecisive at times, and it's kind of like a mixed bag because sometimes like he'll hop around through traffic in this amazing way and burst out the other side, and other times I feel like he can maybe be a little bit too indecisive, but I thought it was way more good than bad. I think his talent as a runner is up there with anybody, so I would say like Price's ceiling is crazy high. But he also didn't grade out super well as a blocker, and he didn't have much of a role as a receiver. So there is some deduction for that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think there is something to be said for being Love's backup and the attention that takes away from you when you can't ignore number 24 because he hits so many big plays. But I feel like sometimes when you're a backup running back, your efficiency can kind of be higher because teams you don't
have to carry a workload. You don't have to go to that 20th attempt. And actually, you could kind of say the same for Jeremiah Love. I don't believe he ever reached 20 attempts in his college career. So
only had 199 total this year. So,
but I could kind of like try to think about it the opposite way, where it's like, well, is there maybe not that much tread on the tires? Then he's only got like 300 career rushing attempts in college, but he's also popped his Achilles before. So this is a post Achilles injury Price that we're seeing, but this is years ago. And
he's still
fast enough where he gets put in on kickoff returns. I think we're all right.
I think we're cool. Yeah, dude. So we're doing snake draft. So I have the 4th pick here as well.
This is where it gets tricky.
Give me Le'Veon Moss. If we're gonna take a chance on guys, if we're like, oh, it's getting tricky at this point, give me the Senior Bowl standout. I like his contact balance a lot. I think he's got a really mean stiff arm. The blazing speed isn't there, right? But I think he's got enough burst to really explode out of these one cuts, these lateral moves. He can make guys miss in space. I think there's enough there that I can at least get excited about. Whereas like a lot of these other guys, I just feel like the total bag of tricks isn't there. And I think Moss at least has a full range of things that he can access. And he's a pretty solid blocker as well.
This is significantly higher than where I had Le'Veon.
Really?
Moss. And I thought that I liked Moss. I had him.
I like Moss.
9, if I'm being honest.
That's fair.
And it's not that I entirely dislike him, but this is a guy who is pretty consistently dealt with injury issues. Now, I agree, at his best, he's somebody who has really nice contact balance and also has like great bend and lateral agility, and the angle he can cut at off of one step is really impressive. So I think at his peak, yes, I'm on board with that, but he's not coming off a great season. He didn't break out until like his 3rd year in college, which I don't think is a great sign. It's been both knee and ankle issues for him. And I don't know, he didn't have like that big of a role as a receiver anytime during college. So I think there's a lot of like red flags there. Although I do buy into the rushing talent on the whole.
So good, dude. It's so there. But no, I can definitely get being concerned about the injuries, being concerned about the breakout age, being concerned about the workload. There's definitely a lot of red flags there. the talent just pops to me. Like it's just there, and I get excited about it. I really do. So I'm really bought in on the talent of Le'Veon Moss, even if the red flags are there. So we can move on then. Matt, who will you take with the 5th pick here?
It's close. I think I'm going to lean Katron Allen here.
That's fair.
With what is now the 5th pick. Big, grinding power back. He's pretty clearly slotting into an archetype. He's got natural power, both as a guy where dudes like can't push him around and he can push the pile and sort of grind things down. I feel like those are two different things. Sometimes he can take an extra step on big cuts. The long speed isn't super crazy, but he still makes more guys miss, I think, by setting them up subtly than you would expect. And while he's not much of a pass catcher, I think he's got some juice as a blocker, so there's some third down potential. I think if a team wants somebody who is going to get the most out of runs, fall forward consistently, push the pile, I could see him going relatively high. I also in on him because he's been really good for Penn State for a long time, early breakout age. Shout out to him and just like, all-time leading rusher for Penn State. And even though this year was kind of weird for the Nittany Lions or whatever, and maybe there were some runs where I think the defense looked at what was going on the other side of the ball and said, are they going to run with the all-time leading school rusher? Are they going to throw with Grunkemeyer? And they said, I think it's probably going to be a run. But
I like
no disrespect. That is no disrespect. But yeah, I had Allen here. Although you could go Singleton or you could go Emmett Johnson or the other guys I would really consider here.
Yeah. Allen is a dude to me that's like all legs. Like he's got long legs. He's got thick legs, girthy legs. Like he's just a leggy guy. Like all of his height and weight is just in his legs. And so you've got these like super long, powerful levers that allow you to really push piles. Matt, you mentioned falling forward. Like it's all just, he's got so much power and leverage in his legs. He's got a pretty long stride, which I think helps him really set people up in a lot of unique ways. And they help drive him forward when facing contact. I think like if there were a budget version of Jeremiah Love, I think it would be Allen, like super budget version.
I honestly think they're completely different players. I can't lie.
I mean, I just think like in terms of like the power and the strength, I'm just like, well, he's got the legs, dude. And I think that can kind of get him close. I mean, not close, but like it's a few rounds difference, but I like him a decent amount.
So that brings it to me. At this point, we are really kind of deep into it. And I'm almost wondering if the best thing to do is to kind of look away from runners and kind of look at guys who can just kind of get on the field for you and block and receive and, not take big L's. And I'm thinking about going maybe Roman Hemby here from Indiana for those reasons. He's kind of a Pacheco type to me where he's just a graceless runner. Like he really is stompy and he's not fluid and he's not going to be somebody who is going to get on the field and look like Saquon. He's not going to look like Barry Sanders. He's not going to look like anything that you think of when you think of, a really dynamic running back. But I also like Emmett Johnson for Nebraska, and maybe I'll pick him next. But, Emmett Johnson, just with the size, you worry about like the blocking and you worry about, the contact balance against bigger guys in the NFL and staying up.
Yeah.
Whereas with Hemby, I just feel like he's a bit of a meat grinder and can just buck like a bull and kind of get some tackles off of him. And then like, okay, here we go. You got 5 yards. Okay, here we go. You got 6 yards. Sure. I mean, they really leaned on this running back duo over the course of the season. I mean, they were a run first team. They wanted to hand it off kind of over and over again. And these guys just continually like found the holes, broke tackles and got it done. So it's kind of basic analysis, but I just feel like at this point in the running back draft, I feel like somebody who can kind of take on that workload and is trustworthy and, isn't fumbling all over the place, like, is someone to prioritize. 0 drops in the pass game. Not elusive, but just solid.
So you would have him be at 6 then as your first pick, and then you're thinking Johnson at 7. I mean, to look at Hemby, frankly, I'm not the highest on him. I just think he has uninspiring physical tools personally. I feel like he does just hit the hole hard and get what's there, and absolutely for Indiana worked pretty well. Same with Black, and it is funny, like he was part of a committee with another guy who's like very much in the draft process here, and he's still got 210 carries. Like both those guys, dang near got 200 touches apiece, I think. So obviously, like they were really leaning on them. But I feel like Hemby has a tendency to like just put his head down early and kind of accept like what has been created by the offensive line rather than like create anything himself or get creative. And I think that like, I like guys who are north-south, but I think it overextends into like kind of a bad area. And then he doesn't really stand out to me, I guess, in pass pro or as a receiver.
Yeah.
I think there's some times where he can get blitzed and blown up by linebackers or just blitzers in general who get ahead of steam. And he had some receiving work, but not enough for me to get truly excited. So I had him outside of my top 10, but I'm also a little bit lower on him than consensus.
Yeah. I'm
no, he's definitely not like, he's not like the craziest run or pass protector ever. So maybe drafting him at that for that, it just feels like he's got kind of the size and the angriness to actually be good at that at the NFL level. And maybe you can kind of develop some of that out of him. And yeah, the creativity and again, the fluidity isn't quite there, but he just runs angry. He just is an angry guy. He'll hit you with the stiff arm. He's got good upper body strength. He'll hit you with the kind of the forearm to the chest, and you can't really fully wrap him up, and he'll keep his legs churning. And he's hit a decent amount of home runs over the course of his career. I mean, at 11.3%, it's a little bit below average, but maybe not quite. Nick Singleton is in single digits. Like Jamari Taylor from Virginia is in the single digits there. So to be a power back with a little bit of ability to kind of get to that second level and with some size, I just think that in kind of an uninspired running back class, he stands out, and I like him more than Singleton. I think Singleton is purely just kind of be a big body, get what's blocked, and run into somebody and fall forward type deal. I think that there's a little bit more tackle breaking ability even with Hemby.
I think we'll get into Singleton here at some point, but I kind of agree with you. So you had Hemby at 6, and then who are you going at number 7? Are you Emmett Johnson?
I'll go with Emmett Johnson. I think that he's got some electricity in a way. Like, he's smaller, and I think I worry about him in pass pro, and I worry about him breaking tackles and being a guy who actually cracks a running back rotation. When you think about someone like Woody Marks, who is incredibly important for the Texans this year and actually found a way in, it's like because they can full slide away from him and he can crack the D end, right? Like that's kind of the skill set that you want at this point, and that's just not the skill set that Emmett Johnson has.
I feel you.
But there is kind of some H-Han about him. Like,
he's crazy in open space.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he is a true hooper in the highest sense. He gets in open space. This is a guy who can not only make big time cuts, but like he'll cut backwards and try to make something happen. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he goes for the big time, crazy, earth shattering moves. Frankly, I think overall his profile, like, there's a number of negatives for him. Breakout age is kind of late. He's not the biggest. Like, the yards after contact and overall just like the strength he plays with is not awesome.
Yeah, he's like 25th percentile yards after contact. He does go down.
Good.
I'd love to see him, even as a smaller guy, not go down as easily as he does. He can take it between the tackles with some vision and cutting ability. Like,
Absolutely. His vision's good.
right. So that makes it so he's not like a pure, just,
Like
kick
trick play,
returner, like trick
get the ball
play
in his
guy.
hand
Yeah, yeah.
type of guy. I agree. His vision's good enough to prevent him from being that.
But it's you see him get hit, you'd like to see him, just because you're small, there's absolutely no reason why you can't bounce off tackles. Even small guys can bounce off tackles, and he's just small. So there's that. But
I
he
was
really
totally
is fast.
out on him. I saw him get like absolutely leveled once, and I'm like, I'm done.
I feel you. You want your running backs to be able to convert speed to power. You want them to be able to turn that speed that they have into some punishment, and that's where he's not there. But tap dancing behind the line of scrimmage, showing some patience, finding gaps, and then he's not hesitant going through the gap. So he can maybe run through some arm tackles. He can kind of, he can be a between the tackles type guy. And he had 1450 on the ground this year, 12 touchdowns, right? 370 receiving yards, 15 games played over the last 2 years, which is nice. So he's got the production, 5.8 yards per attempt. He's got some electricity, 9th in the nation in missed tackles force with the jukes and stuff. So he's got something to him. I just worry about him not standing out enough to like really crack a running back rotation.
I think about the archetype that he's trying to fill. It's like, all right, yards after contact, probably never going to be anything special, right? Breakout age is late. Like, that's not an awesome sign. What worries me and what disappoints me is like the long speed also isn't really that good. That's a bummer. If he had great long speed, then it'd be like, all right, this guy's going to be like a certain type of home run hitter. Instead, I worry like, I agree the vision's good. I think his lateral agility is insane. I think his short area quickness is good, and there's a path to being a good player there. But like ultimately, when I give the scouting report, I got to be like late breakout, not the best analytically in a lot of ways, has issues with speed, has issues with power. It's not great. I still had him. Like, I think here at 7, that totally makes sense. I'm not even disagreeing with it. I'm just saying, like, consensus rank on the big board is 75. I think that's a little high for me. I can see the world where it works out, but I think it's a little high for me. He feels more like a priority day 3 guy rather than somebody I'd be thinking about at the end of the second round.
I will say I like as much criticism as I have for Emmett Johnson's ability to convert speed to power. I like him more than Hemby. So I don't like the way he runs. It's ugly. It's gross. Like, he ran track in high school and I can't tell. Like, his running form is just dog shit. He looks like someone who is literally just a ball of madness, and he has no control. He has no, like, graceless is the perfect way you put it, Theo. If he gets like a great trainer, if he goes to like, I don't know, like a great track coach and spends an entire summer or 2 summers with him, maybe, and he like does yoga that whole time also, then we can maybe talk. But until then, I'm not a fan, and it's like purely unethical. I just don't like the way he runs.
I think that's pretty important for a running back, real talk. I think that's a valid scouting reason to not be super high on him. Yeah. That brings it to my pick, and we're at number 8, correct?
Correct.
All right. I think I'm going Nick Singleton here, who I am not like the absolute highest on. I think there's going to be a portion of people like on Twitter, like in Dynasty Twitter, who are going to be really high on him because he's a great athlete. I think he was like 19th on Feldman's Freaks. And he has a really early breakout age, which is a big deal, right? Like, he maybe had his best season as a true freshman, over 1,000 yards, like almost 7 yards a carry. And those things are really important. But Theo, you made a point earlier that I really agree with. Feels like he runs on a track.
Yeah.
Feels like he's one of the less creative guys in this class. And while you can still get a lot done as like an excellent athlete who I think has fine vision or whatever, I wonder what the ceiling is for a guy like that who's more athleticism than he is like special rushing talent, I feel like, to me.
Feldman's Freak List takes into account kind of testing more than like on the field feats, and you wouldn't know from watching him that he was like you wouldn't look at him and say like, wow, that's a better football athlete than, I don't know, any like Love or anybody, because it's just not really there. Like the creativity, the make you miss ability is just kind of, maybe you make one cut if it's zone and the front side A gap is closed, so you can wind it back a little bit. But then once you're there, it's just kind of run until you run into somebody and try to run them over. You don't, and he doesn't even run as angry as like a Hemby, who is a power back, right? And isn't all crazy, but it's like there's just some wildness to him. There's some angriness to him. There's some, he's throwing his hands, he's throwing his shoulders, he's trying to make a cut. And with Singleton, it's like I don't see any of that. Like I just see somebody who's run, stop, run, stop, run, stop. So yeah, maybe he does have a ridiculous vertical. It wouldn't surprise me, because at running back you go straight up, jumping you go straight up and you come back down. So it sounds like he'd be ridiculous at that. But in terms of like how good he would be playing tag, I don't know if you would look like a special athlete if that was your test.
I'm in the pro tag league. I think you're absolutely right. Emmett Johnson might be my 101 on the pro tag league. It's real short, long speed's not too important. Singleton's like advanced stats in terms of like missed tackles, force per attempt, career-wise 0.17, rough. It's sub 3.5 yards after contact, not great. And using career number there is like favorable to him, because again, like his best season was as a true freshman. He got significantly outproduced by Katron Allen this year. But the other thing about Singleton, did get a lot of receiving work, is a pretty good receiver, has a lot of talent in that aspect. And I think that's part of what plays into like the dynasty guys liking them. Now, I'm not trying to like hate on the dynasty bros, because I think overall, like they're pretty good. Their hit rate is usually pretty decent. But I also think like part of the math here is that the fact that he is a receiver plays into like PPR leagues in a way that like it doesn't quite matter as much to me for the draft. Like it still matters a lot, but you know what I mean? Like it means something a little bit different for fantasy. So I think here at 8, Singleton is about right. I had him at 6 on my board, but it's not because I'm particularly high on him. I think he's got the tools to be effective in the NFL, but this sort of gets into the tier of guys who I don't think are like huge standouts to me, I guess I should say.
Sure. Well, before we get into our final 2 here, I got to, of course, shout out our good friends over at FanDuel. If you want to know why betting the winter games on FanDuel makes sense, well, from game lines to medal counts to finding your angle on the events you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with a bet on FanDuel. Curling matches that start slow and somehow get tense fast, speed skating decided by inches, hockey games that feel different from the opening faceoff, and so much more. You can play your game at FanDuel. Disclaimer: must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. At number 9, give me Kalon Black. I actually like him a little bit more than Hemby. I think he's the better Indiana running back. I think he's a really high IQ runner. Like I'm watching him run down the field and you see his head on a swivel. Like he's constantly being aware of his surroundings. I think he's almost always making the right move for the situation that he's in. He's got these really short legs and so he doesn't have a ton of long speed. He just doesn't have the levers to really get it done. But man, I mean, when he needs to make someone miss, I think he knows how to set them up and get it done. I think he's just going to be a guy who can be a positive force for an offense, even if he's not necessarily a starter right away. Kind of like Dylan Sampson a little bit. Like that's kind of the mold that I put him in.
I can see it. Like, he's kind of a one cut and take it guy, but he's got a
Yeah.
really nice first step. I'm not the absolute highest on him. Again, a lot of the advanced stats I think are like not super awesome in terms
No.
of missed tackles force, 0.16, yards after contact below 3.5 this year. Breakout age, like, didn't really get a huge workload until he was a senior. So I think there's a number of things, and like he didn't have much of a receiving workload at all and that type of stuff. But I think he's got the burst to be NFL level, but he was not somebody I had in my top 10.
Yeah. I just, again, I think once we get outside of that, like top 3, it's just I think it kind of comes down to preference. And, if you're looking for certain traits, then those are the guys you're probably going to lean a little more heavily towards. So like I had Moss and Black and Allen as kind of my next guys out there. And, Theo, you seem to have, Hemby and Emmett Johnson. So I think it's just kind of a difference in preference there. So here we're looking at our number 10 guy, and I think we want to kind of figure this out together as to who we think it could be. So I'll throw out my recommendation, which would be Mike Washington.
Mike Washington is also the highest player left on my board at number 7.
He's also number 7 for me. Cool.
Okay. He's a big back who picks up a head of steam pretty quickly. I think he's got plus lateral agility for his size as well. You can see him not only like make a big cut to hit a hole that's, a little bit difficult to get to, but he can really explode out of those cuts, which I think gives him big playability. I do think like maybe my negative about him is like he's 6'2", he's really big.
Yes.
I think his center of gravity is a little high. I think his contact balance is not quite as good as you would expect it to be if I just told you how much he weighed or how big he was. I don't think his power is quite as good as you would hope. There's a number of plays where he gets tripped up or he doesn't like bully defenders the way that you would hope. And I feel like he has a tendency to like work his way towards the sideline and run out of bounds a little bit too much for me. But I've also seen in the receiving, like he wasn't crazy efficient, but he made some catches outside of his frame that I was impressed with. He's got a late breakout age, as a lot of these guys do, which I do think, I've said it a million times now, it's like a big factor or whatever. But his advanced stats were all right this year, and he was doing it against real competition at Arkansas. And overall, like, Arkansas not one of the premier SEC programs right now, so like he was at disadvantage.
The SEC, but
No, I'm saying that as like
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really efficient this year. 6.4 yards per attempt, 3.86 yards after contact. And like you mentioned, like he had some really nice grabs in the receiving game. I think he's like a good enough athlete. I agree. The like very high center of gravity contact balance isn't where I want it to be. And I don't love the just like, and maybe honestly, it might just be a way he plays thing. Like he really wants to bounce things outside and burn angles, even when he's like at a disadvantage to burn someone's. I'm just like, why do that? But I think he's a fine slot in here at number 10 though. 6'2", 228, a good size. It's a big back class. I feel like the average size of these backs, I feel like, is much bigger than in past years. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
we've had some years where there's a lot of guys that were hovering around the 1.9. Maybe that's more receiver. I'd have to go back and look, but I feel you on that. Theo, what did you think about Mike Washington for 10?
You're muted. I'm sure you're spitting though.
I mean, it sounds like I'm outvoted no matter what. I would have thrown out my
propose them.
I would have thrown out my Senior Bowl darlings, which would be Ott from Cal and both Oklahoma, just because of the
interesting.
Just because of the blocking and the receiving and some of the things that might just help you get on the field again. Like, especially at the Senior Bowl, he was the guy who was by far the best like blocker there.
Yeah.
Like when it's just you and a garbage can and a linebacker and you got to protect the garbage can or whatever.
Or your coach
he was actually taking the fight to the linebackers and actually like popping people and sustaining those blocks and straining in a way that made you think like, okay, if you needed to throw one of these guys on the field, maybe he could defend against the strategy of like, oh, we'll just blitz, and we'll get to the quarterback because we're isolating the back with our sim pressure or whatever. So just based on that alone, I might throw Ott out there. And then the other guy that intrigued me, and I mentioned it during the Senior Bowl episode, is Adam Randall out of Clemson. Just because he's a big kind of power back and who is a former receiver, like a receiver as recently as his freshman year, like his first year in college. This is his first year playing running back, and he had 1,200 all-purpose yards, 12 touchdowns. He's got some feel for the running back position, and of course, a crazy ability to kind of run routes at his side. And he made a ridiculous catch, some ridiculous catches, like at the back of the end zone and kind of in a scramble drill situation. So he's got some stuff you can't teach there. Some size to him. He's really well built. You just wouldn't have expected him to convert to running back so recently, and maybe he's got some ability to really blossom in the future and get better at the NFL level. Like there's actually some potential here that you might buy into instead of like, all right, you were a 500, 600, 700 yard rusher for 3 years in college. What are you going to be in the NFL? Like probably, a backup. Sure. Where it's like with Randall, it's like,
late breakout age, but obviously,
but a reason for it, right? Like,
yeah.
There's some potential of like, what do we have here? Like, what do we have here? Do we have something that could be kind of interesting? So I think that, but like, those are names I'll throw out there. But overall, I agree with
Ott is interesting. Hard to get a handle on him just because of how his college career ended. Obviously, only had like a handful of carries at his last year at Oklahoma, and he was banged up, I believe, his last year at Cal. So he was like super inefficient, like 3 yards a carry, like really playing through something. So you got to go back all the way to 2023. I thought when I watched him, he was a smooth runner, but he kind of lacked pop. His play strength leaves a little bit desired. He has great vision. He's like a really good navigator and can really set guys up. But I wondered if he was physical enough. And I do worry about the injuries, but he's also somebody who really burst onto the scene. And I remember like back, a few years ago, I was like, oh man, this Ott guy's really good. So I think as like a 10th guy, like that's a really good shout. As far as Randall goes, I can get down with that. I did think it's funny he had like 6 drops this year, even though he's converted wide receiver, still has drop issues anyway. And then you're like, oh, right, that's probably why he converted on some level. So,
yeah, for sure.
The other guys like that I want to bring up just real quickly, if we're going to do our running back episode and kind of talk about everybody. Who did we not mention? DeMond Claiborne, we didn't bring up.
Wake Forest.
I thought that he was really quick, really bursty. And he obviously needs to be. He's kind of a slight guy. I feel like he's going to be maybe shoehorn a little bit as like a change of pace guy. And he also wasn't super efficient as a receiver. I don't know if he's got the size to be like a high level blocker at the NFL level. So I think there's a role for him. I think he's quick enough to find that, but
he's definitely the smallest back in this class. Or at least of like the guys that we've mentioned. I don't know if there's anyone actually smaller than 5'95".
I think Reed is smaller. Out of Pitt. He's like 175 listed. We'll see at the combine. Seth McGowan did. He's gonna be like a heavy receiving guy. Did you see Seth McGowan at all? He's ranked really highly on PFF Sport. He's a lot lower consensus at like 196.
I'm not really sure why. I mean, I think that he had some special kind of movement skills, like again, running around at the Senior Bowl. It's like this guy's got some real crazy burst to him and like change of direction to him where it feels like he's kind of got this unlimited range of movement. And then you watch the tape and pretty quickly I was like, well, he doesn't really use it well, and he doesn't really stay up through actual football playing.
He does not stay up through contact whatsoever. I think he's got very quick feet, but he's also got very long legs, and I think it gets back to that high center of gravity. You can just be really tough to deal with for a lot of these guys. I totally agree. He's also older. He was at OU, and then he actually went to jail for 3 months off like a robbery charge or whatever, and then had to come back. He played at New Mexico State and then Kentucky after that. So his breakout age is like late, but he was effective for like he was getting work as a true freshman for Oklahoma. Not a ton, but like they were putting him on the field. So I think that's a good sign. And obviously, like you got to do your work about the character stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I won't make a judgment on it.
10 play test to me didn't lie here. I'm just like, where is the eye?
He wasn't super efficient. Yeah, he wasn't super efficient. I don't think the metrics are particularly good, and I agree. The other guy that I had in my top 10 is Jamari Taylor. We'll see. He's also older. He played a long time at NC Central until his last year here at Virginia. I thought that he brought a lot of power for a guy his size. He's listed at 204.59, but I thought he did a good job using like his short stature and the low center of gravity and whatever, and just his power to take more contact past what you think he would be able to. How that translates to the NFL, we'll see. But I thought he was also comfortable like sitting behind his offensive line and waiting for something to open up and then taking off. And he's got some pretty serious acceleration. So I would be willing to take like a day 3 shot on him, even though, like, again, he's older. He's a day 3 guy.
But once you get into day 3, like, again, it's, take a chance on guys that you think are interesting.
And one other thing.
Yes.
Eli Heidenreich, I am considering a wide receiver. Otherwise, he would have gone.
I was wondering.
He would have gone much higher on this list. There's not 10 players that are listed as running backs that I like over Heidenreich. I can tell you that for sure. The only thing is like I was looking, I'm like, oh, I'll be able to put him high. And then it's like, he's got more career targets than rushes. He's a receiver, I think. He's like a slot gadget. I think he can do a little bit. He's listed
as a receiver on ESPN.
He's listed as a receiver on ESPN and on the consensus big board. But then he's listed as like a fullback on PFF. So I'm like, whatever.
If you could take him and you had to put him at running back, like let's say you're a team.
I don't know. I want to watch a little bit more. I feel like I've seen so much receiving stuff because like he does good receiving stuff out of the slot. Like it's not just all coming out of the backfield stuff with him. So I feel like he could legitimately be but like he's a really smooth route runner. I think he's got good ball tracking ability and good hands, but he seems to need to like let things into his frame a little bit more than maybe you would like. But he's also like a really fluid mover. I think he can set guys up. I mean, obviously like he's playing for Navy, so the comp isn't that great, but he averaged almost 7 yards a carry for his career, and he averaged 4.7 yards per route run.
Yes,
this last season at 900 yards. So like he was very, very efficient. He's somebody I would be willing to take a shot on day 3 for sure. And we'll see when we do our receivers. We'll see how high he gets. He might end up being outside of that top 10 just because he's a slot guy and like it's tough to make judgments. But he was killing it at like the Shrine Bowl. I think that's a good sign when you're doing good against competition. So I don't know. I might end up getting pretty high on him, but I think he's fire.
Yeah, I mean, he led college football in yards per route run this season. So
dang.
Let him cook.
Let him cook.
Let him cook, in my opinion. 4.72 is absolutely filthy. Like, that is a nasty number.
It's a nasty number.
It's a nasty number.
Spreadsheets say he's nasty.
Spreadsheets say. So are we going to go Mike Washington as 10 or?
Let's do it.
Mike Washington is our number 10 player. So that'll do it for Stay Hot's top 10 running backs in the NFL draft. Our sort of consensus I imagine our list will sort of fluctuate individually as we get closer. It's only middle of February. We've still got a couple more months till the actual draft. We'll be going through all of these positions kind of leading up to the draft and leading up to the combine as well. So make sure you stay tuned for all of those. We also do prospect reviews on the Patreon. So if you're interested in more in-depth reviews on a singular player, that is where you can find those. But until next time, as always, from your favorite fellas here at Stay Hot, thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you on the Flippity Flop.